Hello, hello, hello. Okay, there we are. I was like, I'm waiting for the go live little thing to pop up. It was taking its time. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Dr. Sasheen with your Tuesday tea break. Welcome to 2026. It's our first, I think it's our first tea break of 2026. Yes. Yes, because the first was last Thursday. Whew. Okay, so welcome to the first tea break of 2026. I am your host, Dr. Sasheen. This is my channel, Women in Transition, and hopefully, if you're out there, say hello. It's good to see you. It's good to be here. It's time for a bit of a break because 2026 kind of still feels a little bit like 2025 because we they kicked off some things in the atmosphere, but this space is not for that. This space, this time, this next 30 minutes is designed to help you find a piece of peace in the day, a place to center yourself, to have something to drink, to clear your mind, to woosah off the stress and the anxiety, and hopefully to bring in some joy, and if not joy, at least some calm. So, as I said, I'm Dr. Sasheen. If you're new to the channel, please hit like, subscribe, and share. It always helps the algorithm know that you're interested in this content. What am I doing on Tuesday tea breaks? Live every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'm just here chatting with you. If you show up, if not, catch the replay. Hashtag replay gang, right? But I'm just here because my life also is busy, and I like to just stop and pause. And Tuesday's a great time because Monday is so hard, especially the first Monday of a new year. Whew. Because Monday can be so difficult because people start preparing for Monday Sunday night, right? Right. It's scientifically studied, it's been studied several times that Sunday night is actually the most stressful day of the week because people are preparing to go back to work on Monday. And so many people are not happy with their working life. Now, I didn't say you didn't like your job, but so many people just aren't happy with their working environment, their work life, that Monday, the stress of Monday starts Sunday. The prep for Monday starts Sunday, right? So by the time we hit Tuesday, you've been in a pretty stressful state for at least 2 days, at least, right? So Tuesday is a good day, I figured, to settle into a rhythm of every Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. I'm going to go join this little community called the Tea Break, and I'm going to let myself just relax for 30 minutes. Maybe you'll schedule yourself on your calendar at work so nobody schedules you into a meeting. Maybe you take an early lunch or a late break, just a way for you to honor your need for calm and what is often a very busy schedule. For a lot of people, you've been up since 6:30, 7 o'clock, if not earlier, just getting ready to get ready, right, to go to work. And by the time 11 o'clock Central Standard Time rolls around, noon out there on the East Coast, hello, my East Coast friends, um, 9 out there on the West Coast, hello, my West Coast friends, you might feel like I could use a bit of a break. I could use a little space in the day. And so that's what this is, a little space in the day, a little morsel of empty space that we're choosing to fill with this. So what am I drinking this morning? Because tea time, I like to break out the teacups and decide what lovely libation to drink. Now, some folks like coffee. I could have called this coffee time, but I don't drink coffee. So I figured I'd call it tea time because I really love tea. However, I have a chai tea mix, a chai mix, since chai means tea. And it's weird that they put chai tea on the cover because it's two words, the same word in two different languages. Anyway, this morning I am doing a chai latte. And this is my version of coffee. I don't like coffee. If you grew up around coffee, which I grew up around coffee, you either learn to really love that smell or you learn to really hate that smell. And I don't mind the smell of brewing coffee, but I have zero desire to actually drink coffee. Anyway, as I was saying, this morning I'm doing a chai, an Oregon chai concentrate, but I also have loose chais that I keep on hand. It's funny, that sense memory thing. My dad grew up in tobacco country, and so he always would say to me, what you smell in cigarettes isn't really the smell of tobacco, it's the smell of burning chemicals, because tobacco smells really sweet. And I didn't believe him, right? I didn't believe him. Oh, those curls left a hump in my head. I'll fix that later. But when I finally got a chance to visit one of the places where he grew up as a little boy, and I got to be in tobacco country, he was totally right. Like, tobacco is it's not cloyingly sweet, but there is a sweetness to tobacco that I'd never experienced until I was actually standing in a tobacco field, driving through tobacco country, which was like, well, my word, how do people smoke cigarettes? Because those things, like, they smell so bad because the tobacco gets treated in order to turn it into a cigarette. But raw tobacco just growing out of the ground, it's a smell like no other. It's very different. It's very pungent, but it's also very sweet. It's really interesting. Good morning, Carolyn. Good to see you. I am doing a chai this glorious morning out of a black cat cup because I'm wearing black. I thought I would also let the black cat take over. So let me get my tea made because y'all know I'll start chatting at you. Literally chatting like crazy. And we'll forget that this is a tea break, a chance to drink a little something, enjoy a little something, have a little chat, a little conversation, and bring a little bit of peace to the middle of our day. So you're back to whatever it is that you got a chance to have a break from for the last part of 2025. How's your day going? How's your week starting? A very large mug of English breakfast. I do like a good English breakfast tea. It's nice and strong. I was just saying before I saw you logged on, I don't know if you caught it, but I'm not a coffee drinker because I grew up in a coffee town where they used to we would you would smell you'd smell roasting coffee, which is not a terrible smell, but you'd also smell burning coffee, and that is a smell that I can't get out of my sense memory to save my life. Two shakes. This gets to go in the microwave. Okay. I don't use the microwave for many things, but I do like to have it heat up things because it does it pretty quickly, as long as it's just liquid. I never heat up food because it dries it out in the middle and it just does weird things to it. Anyway, so I have learned to love various teas that kind of stand in for coffee, and English breakfast is one of them. I love a good English breakfast. Yeah, I don't mind the smell, but the taste, once you've smelled burning beans, I was always just like, I don't understand how people drink that. Like, I can't get it out of my nose. Even when I smell coffee brewing, I'm just like, there's still this slight acrid smell on it that just never goes away. So how was your holiday? It's our first tea break of the new year. It's the first time I'm going to get a chance to check in with you all and say, how was the holiday? Did you enjoy yourselves? Did you have a good time? Did you do something fun? Did you get to see family that you might not have gotten to see before or for a while? Did you go someplace? Did you do something that allowed you to just relax and find a space of joy and peace in that time? Hopefully you did and you didn't spend it too stressed out. It was a little stressful for my family this year. As most of you know, we had a death in the family in December, so the holidays have been a little harder this year. But I'm hoping that as we ease into the new year, we'll all begin to find our bearings again. But I do know that a lot of you all did some fun things. I got to see some fun pictures. If I follow you on Insta or Facebook or YouTube, just a minute. Then I saw a little bit about what you might have gotten up to, but I haven't seen a lot of you. So what's been going on? Oh my goodness. I got all kinds of folks texting right now. Oh, good. Next to nothing. See, this is what I'm talking about. That idea that we should rest over the holidays has become weirdly not what we're doing. And one of the things I talked about in the last video I did, Are You on the Right Path? Was winter in the northern hemisphere is it offers us a chance to slow down. It offers us the opportunity to decompress because the days get shorter and we are always more stimulated when there's more sunlight. And so the fact that we are forcing ourselves to do during winter feels unnatural because it kind of is unnatural. We all know that before the advent of modern electricity, folks didn't do a whole lot after dark because you couldn't see anything. And I'm not advocating for going back to the time of candles and, wax and tallow candles and all that jazz and oil lamps. Um, but I am a firm believer in the idea that the universe slows us down, period. It just slows us down by taking away sunlight little bit by little bit by little bit and then giving it back to us, right? So we pass over the winter solstice, We get the longest night of the year. And then gradually the universe says, okay, I'm going to let you start getting a little bit of sunlight back. But that doesn't really start to kick in our senses until January, February, right? When we're starting to head towards the vernal equinox, when we will once again hit equal day, equal night. So I am a firm believer that the tilt of the earth is designed to help us to slow down. But with the advent of artificial light, we just never do. Right? We just never do. And again, I'm not knocking electricity. I'm a 21st century girl. I'm not going back to the times when we had to like literally read by candlelight. But I do think there's something to be said for allowing the space in the season that we are in to do its job of helping us to slow down, especially as we get older, especially as we figure out the rhythm of our next phase of life. Following the rhythms that are natural to us can be a really good thing. Today is the first day where I woke up. Oh, look at you. Efficient, rested, and efficient. See, we just don't even understand sometimes how much an extra hour of sleep or real rest, not just sleep, right? But real rest makes a world of difference for us. Just a world of difference. We get so many more things done. We're less cranky. We're more likely to do things not only efficiently, but also we will do them to the benefit of others, right? We're efficient, we're productive, and we're thoughtful, and we're generous, and we're kind because we're rested, because we have had some sleep. And I firmly agree with this. Oh, hang on, I'm just reading. I have SAD, so December is always rough. This year, I just allowed my body to lean into it. Yes, if it was a sunny day, then just sit in the window. I used to live in the Pacific Northwest, has a high degree of people who suffer from SAD. Sorry, it's a little chilly this morning. It's not really cold, it's just a little chilly. Who suffer from SAD. And so when I was living up there, I didn't live on the west side of the Cascade Mountains. I lived on the east side of the Cascade Mountains. And that difference is huge because on the west side of the mountains, which is where Seattle and Tacoma and the Emerald Isle really is, because everything is so lush and green. And the reason it's so lush and green is because it rains. They get like 300 days of rain a year. And by rain, I don't mean torrential downpours every day, but that sometimes it's just that hazy mist, but they get a lot of it. And so because they don't have access to as much sunlight, SAD tends to be higher in those kinds of areas. I lived on the east side of the Cascade Mountains in what they call the high desert. We got plenty of sun, like all the time. I could see snow-capped mountains in the distance. So during the winter, though, yes, it was cold and sometimes we would get snow. We got a lot of sunshine, and you just don't really realize what a difference a sunny day makes until you have been without it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, right? So I think a lot of us have a little bit of season effect disorder, though I do know, and I'm not going to make light of it because I do know how hard it can be to suffer. Like I said, when I lived in the Pacific Northwest, I met people who it was just really difficult to understand the level of sad that would be prevalent, because when the sun goes away, there's something to be said about not knowing, not having enough sunlight, which leads me to an interesting and kind of tangential point. But I was on YouTube. Good morning, Michelle. You're not late. You're just right on time. I follow a woman who lives in Svalbard. I think it's called Svalbard. If anyone out there is Swiss or excuse me, a Swede, or lives in Switzerland or has visited, and I'm getting this wrong, please don't fillet me in the comments. Okay? But she lives in Svalbard, which is the northernmost point in Switzerland that you can live. And so she gets polar days and polar nights, which is that long stretch of time where it's either 24/7 daylight or it's 24/7 nighttime. And so I watch her channel from time to time because I've always been really curious how people adjust in what I would call extreme climate. So I watch some of those, and I appreciate women who put those videos out because it can be different for women. Um, when they're in those kind of environments. But she does a great job of explaining how they battle, how they not battle, how they adjust to the stretch of time when there is nothing but daylight. The sun literally it goes across the sky, but because of where they are on the planet, it never sets. So then it never goes down, right? It just comes back across the sky again, right? And then when polar night hits, which I think is 3 months of total darkness, she charts, she's got it on her channel where you can watch the sun gradually disappear, and then she did it on the other end as well, where you get to watch the sun gradually begin to reappear, which you can sometimes see as polar night gets to the end, or maybe towards the middle, as the horizon like gets a little bit lighter, and then it gets dark, and then it gets a little bit more lighter, and then it gets dark. And I just think it's fascinating that how they handle this season of being in complete darkness and then shifting to regular days, but then going into complete sunlight for 3 months. Because as much as I love the sun, I'm not sure if I could do it. I'm just not sure if I could do it. Michelle, how was your holiday? How were the few weeks between December and January treating you? I hope very well. I hope that life treated you well and you found some peace and some joy and some um, time to just breathe in the changing seasons. Because I was talking a little bit earlier just about how the world kind of gives us an opportunity to sit down and reset. Um, you've been setting would like to get done today goals. Listen, you all are making me very very, very happy. The I have a laundry list of things I used to keep a laundry list of things that I had to get done. I have pages and pages of to-do lists. But I am I'm a rhythmic person. I am a what season am I in kind of girl. And I honor the fact that sometimes my seasons are much more slower. Sometimes they're much, much, much more hectic than I would like for them to be. But it's as I am getting older and I've hit middle years, the midlife muddy middle, as I'm calling it, finding a rhythm that rhymes with the seasons feels even more important to me. Um, going through perimenopause, we've all talked about it, right? Going through perimenopause is just sometimes the rhythm is set for you. You're going to do what the body says you're going to do, or the mind says you're not going to do. So when you get days where you feel like you've got your own rhythm back and you've got your own control and you can set your own agenda, finding a rhythm that allows you to honor where you are is so important. And I think 2026 is going to be an interesting year for that. Um, one of the things that I was so two things as we're just chit-chatting. I'm on Threads. If you want to follow me on Threads, I'm on Threads as Dr. Sasheen. But I said on Threads yesterday, I think, because a little bit of a backstory. I was talking to some friends over the holidays, and one of the things that we talked about is how the Gen X generation, is a little bit unique from the boomers behind us and the later millennials. Like, I kind of count the exillennials that are right next to us as part of our generation, but definitely Gen Z. In that we are the sandwiches. We are literally being sandwiched between two very powerful generations. One that is aging rapidly and one that needs to be raised still. So here we are. But not only that, but a lot of us have been working since we were 13 or 14. Had our first jobs when we were 13, 14, maybe if we were lucky and we didn't have to work until we were 15 or 16. But in reality, a lot of us have been working a job of some kind, whether it was babysitting, mowing lawns, newspaper service off the books. And then it was like my very first job was I was babysitting as a kid, right? I had little cousins, and when their parents had to go somewhere, and there were a lot of us, so when their parents had to go somewhere, the older siblings, the older cousins had to babysit. So that was the first job. But then my first W-2 job, I worked in a dry cleaners, and I sewed buttons onto buttons that had popped off of garments. That's what I did. I learned how to sew buttons. which I had learned in home ec anyway, and my mom had taught me anyway. But I sewed buttons and I stitched very minor stitching, and I worked the front counter. I was 14. I was 14. And, we got to discussing this idea that, and the reason this came up, I'll tell you, is because of the talk about raising retirement age, right? Which would impact Gen X directly because most of us aren't even near retirement age yet. But we've been working since we were 13, 14, 15. And to raise the retirement age to 70, most of us have already been working 30 years, right? 40 years. And so we just got to we got to talking about how people are forgetting that there's this sandwich generation right in the middle of the boomers and the gen and the later millennials and the Gen Zs who has not only been working since we were 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, if you're a farm kid, maybe younger. But not only that, we lived through huge technological booms and time really collapsed for us. Like MTV went off the air this year, and I remember when MTV first started, when when television changed in such a significant way, right? And all of the things that have been really sh- shifting culture rapidly have happened during the Gen X years. And so we have lived through monumentally fast time collapses, and we're still working and we're still kind of hustling and pushing through. So we weren't necessarily, we were definitely complaining about the retirement age possibility being raised. But yes, Carolyn, MTV is off the air, and they started. So MTV started with the video by the Bugles. Video killed the radio star, and they ended their last broadcast with "Video killed the radio star." And it's such a moment, right? It's such a moment for us because that's our thing, and it is gone. And it had to go away. MTV has not been MTV in in the way that we knew it for years and years and years, and its relevance really had faded. Like I don't knock that it was not really doing what it needed to do anymore. But man, right? That's a cultural moment for us where something that started with us ended before, didn't stay with us. It's gone now. But, as we were discussing this idea of the raising of the retirement age, and we started thinking, so in theory, if you say you started working at, 15 and you're currently 55. So we will say, um, that's 40 years. Imagine if you couldn't retire post Social Security until you are 70 or 75. And we were having this conversation. What does it look like to work your entire life, never ever getting a chance to stop and really enjoy it? Because it isn't just the going to work labor, right? It's older parents and younger children because you're sandwiched in the middle. And these are conversations that I think we need to start having out loud with each other, talking about it, because the only way to impact some of the changes that are coming is for us to talk to each other about how do we push back or how do we find a way to adjust. I don't want to adjust to raising the retirement age. I don't want to adjust to that. I'm all for fighting back on that one. But the conversations I think are really important. Now, one of my friends was like, you know, one of the things that people forget is that the boomers absolutely worked as well, but they didn't work the way that Gen X had to work. Gen X had to work. We had to work. A lot of us didn't have parents who made enough money to give you extra money, or to like you worked to help the household. You worked to help put yourself through college. You worked because you didn't have any other options. So yeah, it's just been an interesting couple of days into the new year. So many things have happened, so many conversations are taking place, and I feel like Gen X is positioned to bring some context to things that people just don't realize are underneath some of these conversations. Like when you raise the retirement age on people who've already been working since they were 14, 15, because the boomers are retired. They're already retired. You're talking about people who have literally been working since they were 12, 13, 14. and you're telling them that 65, 68, no longer the place. You got to work till you're 72 before you can think about retiring. And we're the smallest generation. So it's not like we're going to be able to replace the baby boomers. We already have a gap in some fields, some major gaps, right? But to then tell a generation of people, we know you went to work at 12, but we want you to keep on slogging for, 60 years of work. And then maybe you can retire. Maybe. I don't know, y'all. That doesn't feel very peaceful, and I'm not really liking it very much. I had a pick with Howard Lee's. Really? Wow. Oh my gosh. That's so cool. Long ago, someone from a forum that I used to belong to set out to find an alternate path to retirement. Oh, I'd love to hear more about that. I would love to hear more about that. Some of his ideas helped me to be able to plan it out. I would love to hear more about that because some of my friends and I are really talking about what does it look like to not be able to retire, especially right now where the economy is, and so many people not even having retirement savings that, you know, that they could retire even if they wanted to at 65. They couldn't even if they wanted to. And though 65 for me is a few years off, for some others it's not that far away, but they can't even think about it, right? So I would really love to hear some of the ideas that maybe you heard about. I'd love to share them with the community. So if you get some time, please drop them into a comment to me and I'll post them for you. But I would love for us to, as this year begins and the world kind of starts to take shape a little bit, to think about where you want to see yourself in a quarter. I'm not talking about the whole year. I think this year is going to bring some interesting changes again. Here we go. And so I think trying to think too far ahead might feel too big, too overwhelming. And this space is not about overwhelm. This space is about peace, joy, leaning in to what makes us happy, leaning into what makes us peaceful, understanding that sometimes that means that we have to tear some things down and rebuild them to get to our peace, right? Sometimes we have to, we're building the bridge to peace sometimes, as opposed to living in the land of peace yet. And that's okay. Because sometimes that we got to build that bridge to peace. Like that's what we have to do. So I think it's important to be aware of what you want to happen to have, what you want to happen in the first quarter of the year, right? That first couple of months where we're coming out of December into January, February, March. You've got kind of we're in the between times when winter is slowly moving us back towards the light. What do you want to see happen in that space, in that period of time? Instead of trying to make it all about what do I want to see happen for the entire year? Because I do think that there are going to be some big changes this year. There are going to be some changes to this channel. I'm introducing a new series called So Now What that's coming out. There's hope in some of the things that are happening, but there's a lot of anxiety and stress in the world about some of the things that are happening. And I think that the collective stress is going to feel more present in the next month or so. So I want to remind everybody to breathe and take it one quarter at a time. Instead of trying to figure out where do I want to be in 6 months or 18 months, where do you want to be standing in like 60 days? Give yourself 60 days. What do you want to see happening in 60 days? Smaller chunks, less overwhelm, more manageable, working with the energy of the winter time if you're in winter. If you're in the southern hemisphere, working with the energy of the summer heat building, right? Because you all are in that heat building phase and we're in the cold building phase. But wherever you find yourself on that tilt of the Earth's axis, using the flow of the time and the season to help you figure out, here's what I want to see happen in the next few months. And going with that, because that is so much more manageable, right? Um, and so much easier than trying to determine the flow of an entire year when the uncertainty of so many things is right here, right? It's so like right in your face. And so it can be hard to push that away, especially if you watch the news or you're really wrapped up in the cycles of breaking news every 5 seconds. It can be hard to see the forest for the trees. And I want you to see the forest for the trees because the trees are beautiful. But the forest is magnificent, right? The trees are lovely that we're staring at. But that forest, That is a sight to behold if we could just back away from the trees a little bit and give ourselves room to breathe. So that is my hope for you this week, is that you get room to breathe, that you take room to breathe, and if necessary, that you wrestle some room to breathe away from something else, because whatever it is that you have to wrestle your space from, it'll be there when you get back. It'll be there when you get back. And if it's not, it wasn't yours to do anyway. So don't worry about it. Right? If it's not there when you get back to it, then it wasn't yours to do anyway. And it is okay to say, that just wasn't for me. See, I walked away from it because I couldn't do it at that moment. And when I came back, it was gone. Just wasn't for me. That is one of the beauties of middle age, right? That thing is just not for me because something else will come along that is for me. Live long enough to know that, to be actually factual. Thank you so much for hanging, ladies. It's been 30 minutes. I promised you I'd keep it short and sweet, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. It is so good to see you all. I cannot wait for our standard Tuesday dates to start showing up because I have lots of things that I want to do this year. I know I just said don't make a lot of big plans, but I have some things that I think that we as a collective, as we grow and we find our feet in 2026, I just feel like this is going to be a good space for us to grow and help each other lift our boats as we get ourselves where we want to be. Have a wonderful day. I will see you all Thursday. We're talking about retirement, oddly enough. I got some more thoughts on that, so I'm going to make a whole video. Look for Thursday drops, look for daily drops, because if you haven't noticed that on the channel, I am posting daily. Oh, Michelle, someone said, how about Bora Bora? I'm like, I don't even know that's South Pacific, right? Okay, listen, we have some plans to make. That is all for this morning. I have to run. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you all so very, very much, and I will see you soon. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.